Hey everybody, this is Undead Viking coming to another video review. I just got done watching my Minnesota Twins lose yet another game, so I figured why don't I make a video review to kind of cheer myself up a little bit, because that's the reason I do these things. I actually find them kind of fun. So, I've been doing a lot of like Kickstarter videos lately about games that might come out in the future. So I'm going to stop doing that at this point. I'm going to show you a video of a game that it's in existence. You can go to your local gaming store or log on online and go to your local online gaming store. I guess local online gaming store doesn't make much sense, but you can go to your favorite online gaming store and you can probably purchase this game. This game is Feudality. I bought this game. Yes, I bought this. I didn't get a review copy or anything like that. I bought this game for a single reason, and I'll tell you the single reason. Because of this name right here, Tom Wham. Tom Wham is an icon in a way for gaming when I was growing up, when I was young. A lot of people, when you talk about board games and their board game background, and if you've watched my Arkham Horror video, you may know this. I wasn't really big into the board game world until about 5 years ago, maybe a little over 5 years ago now. But when I was growing up, I was really heavily into role-playing games. And I would go to this place called Hobby Hut that's still in existence in Moorhead, Minnesota. And I would purchase my role-playing stuff there, miniatures, paint, books, that sort of thing. And there was this game on the shelf that always intrigued the heck out of me. I saw it and I thought it was really cool. And actually, kind of like one of those childhood friends that isn't really a childhood friend, just a guy who kind of ran in your group kind of thing, bought this game. And like, I played it with him once. I thought it was just super awesome. And I wanted to play it again, but like, he was just, you know, kind of that fringe guy, so I would never really see him much. So I actually purchased the game myself, and that game is Kings and Things. And this game is made in, like, I think it's from 1986. It's a West End game. West End games doesn't even exist anymore. Kings and Things has a reprint now, but Kings and you can't see it because it's really tiny, but there's a Tom Wham right there as well. Tom Wham designed this game, and I won't really talk about Kings and Things just because this is a review of Kings and Things, but ever since I purchased that game of him, look how beat up this is. I kept this in like the trunk of my car for like 6 years for whatever crazy reason. But because of this game, I kind of fell in love with everything that Tom Wham made. I mean, his games are kind of like there's lots of fun, but there's lots of chaos, there's lots of whimsy, and the cool thing is that he does his own art. And even though the guy, I think he's in his 70s now, he still does his own art for his games, and it's all kind of cartoony, but it looks really cool. So when I heard that Tom Wham had a new game called Feudality, I was really excited about it. And so I waited. I was just super jazzed to play it, and I purchased it. And I busted it out almost immediately. And the cool thing about it was when I showed it to my friends, the first thing they said was like, "Hey, this looks all like Kings and Things," which was like, yeah, it's Tom Wham. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to play Feudality, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. The game's super simple to learn how to play, and if you like dice, and if you like cool, crazy, random things happening to your carefully planned out fiefdom, then yeah, I think you'll enjoy this game. But anyway, let's go on, and I'll tell you exactly how to play Feudality. Cool. Tom Wham. All right, here we go. I'm going to show you how you play Feudality. I'm going to show you this board because it is the scoring board, but you really. This is kind of put in the center of the table because each person just kind of has their own board that they keep in front of them, and I'll show you those in just a second. But I just wanted to show you this so when I reference it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The game actually can support up to 6 players, which is kind of cool. So here's the player pawns, and as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, got the green guy. There are 6 player pawns, and like I know these two are kind of close together, but you know that you can, you know, as long as you know, I know color blindness is out there, and they are kind of close, but you can tell the difference fairly easily. If you had to, I suppose you could use a different pawn, if you will. But since the game actually goes to an amount, a scoring amount, depending on the number of players, as you can see here, actually like 6 players, 12, 4 and 5 is 13, and 14 is 2 or 3. That's how many points then you automatically win. And the reason why you have a higher total of 15 and 16 is because, as with a lot of games, when the final turn comes, it's possible for players to have one big last gasp and try to get more points there at the end. And so you can end up, you know, getting up to 16, possibly tying, and you have tiebreakers and what have you. But anyway, my point is that as you go up the track, and everybody starts at a point, you get 1 point, and it's possible to lose points actually. So you can go down to 0. If you go down to 0, but you can't go any lower, so you can't lose any points. It's important to note with the scoring track as you just, you know, move up the little serpentine path here. One of the things you're able to do in the game is actually attack other players and attack their little fiefdoms. You can't attack anybody who has the same number of points as you or lower. So you can't beat up on somebody that's doing poorly. You can only attack somebody that's ahead of you. So you'll use the scoring track to determine that. Also, the scoring track down here has these little boxes. You'll notice that there's this little thing here, 2 times number of players equals the number of the little tiles that you'll be pulling out of this big old bag of all these little tiles. And I'll explain these in a moment. But when you pull them out, you'll place these on those locations, depending on the number that you draw. And those are the tiles that that you'll get access to purchase if you have enough resources and what have you. Like I said, it's very functional. I'm not really going to show it to you again. I just wanted to make sure you knew that this did exist. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of that. Alright, so and up next is the player boards. Now, you get, these aren't, you know, they're not stiff cardboard. But they're very sturdy, just the same. You'll notice that, you know, they aren't exactly, you know, the same, each one, and they are actually double-sided. You'll just deal these out randomly or whatever, or what have you. And I just wanted to show one, and for whatever reason, when we play, we always say the person that gets a certain one, because there's one, here we go. You notice, there's the lady in the lake there holding the sword. Another thing of just Tom Wham's artwork. But we'll just use this side for fun there. We'll just put that out there. So, there we go. Let me just, I know I hate zooming out and zooming in during a video, so please forgive that. But I'm just going to do that right now for this. So let's just say I'm playing, and this is the board that I have. And I'll just choose my little red marker, and I'll be using that to denote the spots on the board when we're rolling dice. Now, I'm going to explain the dice rolling mechanic here so you just know. You'll notice that there's a blue numbers of 1 through 8 up there, and there are white numbers 1 through 8 down there. So when you roll the dice, and so we got 6, 2, blue 2, and then we'd activate that spot. Now, what happens if you activate a spot? Well, I'll explain that in just a moment. First thing that happens is each person gets a forest tile. You can see the forest doesn't cost anything because there's no cost to it, and if you ever get to activate it, it'll earn you 2 wood. So I get to place this wherever I want. The rules actually tell you, try placing this next to a, not on a river, but close to a river, because there's hunters that can be placed next to forests, and if hunters actually gain extra food if they're in the river. So you can go ahead and let's just place that guy there. Now each person also gets a keep. And this is a four spot area that you'll be placing your tower, which will turn into, you know, there's a tower up here, turns into a castle, turns into a keep, turns into a fortress. And you'll create those, hopefully, during the game. You don't have to, but they're a good way to earn extra victory points. So I get to place this anywhere. Now, the one thing about placing this is that if I place it to cover a mountain, I get a one-time bonus of iron ore. For a single mountain, like this one, or for covering a double mountain, you get 2. So let's just go ahead and let's say I place it there to cover that double mountain. So I'm going to get a bonus of 2 iron for doing that. Now, at the beginning of the game, you get 3 of each resource. So let's take 3 food. You'll notice that there's actually different tokens, like here's a pumpkin. That's 3 food, but you can just take 3 cubes. The wood is a twig, so let's put a twig there. The coal is just a big lump of coal, and the iron is an iron bar or a stick, I guess. But I remember I got those 2 extras, so I'll place those there. And then you have a big fat gold piece. Then I'll just place that there as well. So now the game begins. And the first thing that happens is you do what's called a serpentine draw. If you've ever done like fantasy football, you know what a serpentine is. What that is that you will draw enough these tiles out of the bag equaling 2 times the number of players plus 1, and you place them out. And these are technically these are your opening tiles that you'll be able to draft from and be able to place on your board. It is important to note that when you do your initial draft, you can't draw anything that actually has a star on it. Stars are the ones that actually gain you victory points. So, like, let's say I got this iron mine, so I got to place that on a mountain. So I got to make sure that, so let's place that iron mine there. So now if I can somehow manage to activate that, I can go ahead and make that. And then I got this man-at-arms. And so you can see the man-at-arms. You'll notice like the cost is down here. It would cost me 1 iron to get him, and he's worth 1 point. Now I get to place that in my keep, and I must not forget to place my tower. You get the tower for free, but you notice that right over here, it would cost me 2 coal if I ever needed to remake it. And they can be destroyed. So, and you'll notice there's a little star there, has a 1 on it, meaning if I activate the tower, I get a victory point. So we'll just go ahead and place that guy there. So, now after everybody's done this and set up their starting little fiefdom, and they have what they have, now what will happen is that the first person will go. And let's just say I was lucky and I get to go first. The first thing that happens is I roll these 2 dice. So I got a 2 and a 4. So I got 2, 4. Oh, I got my little lake spot, but that doesn't do me any good. I can't activate anyone. Now everybody else will do the same thing. They'll place their little pawn there, saying that they've activated that location. You can activate the spot you're on or any spot around it, diagonally, left, right, up, down. So, for sake of an argument, let's say I hit that spot right there. I could activate the forest, and the forest gains me 2 wood if I decide to use that. Or if I decide to use my iron mine, I'd earn 2 iron. Well, I have tons of iron right now, so I go ahead and take 2 wood. If I had placed it, if it had landed somewhere like here, you can't really activate man-at-arms or anything like that. You just can't really do anything with them. They're just there to protect you and also do your attacks. But I could activate my tower and gain a victory point. Now, if you ever roll, one of the numbers is an 8, like 8-4, you activate the spot like this, but you also do a reroll. So I'd reroll again. If you ever get doubles, so let's say I got if I can actually find the 4 on this one. There's no 4. Oh, there it is. So I got a 4-4. I'd activate that. Look, I would have gotten to activate my forest, and then I would pick these up, and I'd roll them again. So then I go 6-7. Now there's no limit to the number of rerolls. So, if I go 6 and 7, so then I'd be done. But that helps everybody. You keep rerolling until you're done. So once that's done, you have a random event deck. Now, these are just events that happen. Pretty thick deck, you won't go through it. So there's lots of stuff that you will see and lots of stuff that you won't see. So you draw the top card, and here we go. The king decrees a new tax. All barons must send 4 resources of any type to the royal palace. Failure to comply earns a disfavor. So now I gotta go through and I gotta figure out 4 that I want to send. So I'll send these 2 wood that I just got, and I'll send these 2 iron I just got, and I'll send those 4. And I'll send those back. Now, if somebody is unable to do that, if you gain a disfavor, that actually means that you would lose a point. So, some of these are bandits attack, meaning all barons to arms. You see which place the bandits will attack, and then that person could possibly, get their tower hurt or lose some items, stuff like that. The king holds a swordplay tournament. Everyone has a man-at-arms. It's to roll a die. If you win the tournament, you get a point. Stuff like this. And like I said, this deck is huge, and it's full of dragon attacks and giant attacks and all kinds of crazy stuff. And sometimes, luckily, the king will like do nothing. He'll just like go visit his mom or something like that, and you're like, whew, I don't have to deal with any kind of random event. So these are kind of cool. After that, you go through the purchase phase. You draw tiles equal to 2 times the number of the players once. Now, unlike Serpentine, it isn't +1. And you would, so in this case, you would take and you would place out the things that you have available to you. And then the first player gets to go first. And you only buy 1 item. So, I mean, I'm not going to show you each tile. But, I mean, here's just a random smattering. Here's like an archer. Here's a gold mine. I mean, there's tons of these different tiles. Like, here's a miller. You can see it costs a gold and a wood to get him. But he creates 3 food. And you notice there's this little blue splotch over there and it says +1. If you place this guy on a river, he actually gets an extra 1 food. So he'd be with 4 food if you activated him. Here's a cool knight with strength of 3. Let me just see if I can find a cool one that has, oh, like here's a guy, a smith. He costs an iron, but look, he's got a little star, so he earns you a point. And there's tons of special ones too. Like there's wizards that'll allow you to do rerolls. There are clerics that allow you to, oh, here's one. The Kirk, not like Captain Kirk, but the Kirk. It's like a religious location. And you'll notice that if you activate it, not only do you get a victory point, but you actually get 1 of any resource you want when you activate it. How cool is that? And it says healing here. Normally, if your troops go to war, what happens is that you have to, if you attack somebody, not if you get attacked, that's to make it so it's actually kind of dangerous to attack somebody, but if you get attacked, you have to roll for each and every unit in your army. And if you roll, it's like odd or even whether they live or die. If you roll and you rolled like say odd, you're going to say, oh, odd, they die. You roll an odd number. For every healing that you have, and healing is like kirks and churches and clerics and things like that, you get a reroll. So you can possibly save their lives. You know, here's a fisherman. He's normally 0 food, but he's worth +2 when he's on the green. And like I said, there's tons of these. And I'm like, I wish I could find, oh, here's the rich merchant. Gets you 3 gold if you activate it, and stuff like that. And so your board will start filling up, and you'll have all of these spots slowly but surely getting filled up. And you know, they can get destroyed by like rampaging giants and dragons and what have you, but for the most part you'll maintain their stuff and they'll keep growing. I was just going to show you this one quick. This is the granary. Now those of you who have played any kind of civilization game, you know, in granaries they are able to store food. Halves the food cost. And what does that mean? Well, if you're the first player, after you've done your purchasing and you've purchased your tiles and you've placed it. So let's say I got this cool gold mine. I'll place that there. So after that, you get 2 baronal actions. Now, when you have your baronal action, 1, you can activate any location on your board as long as it isn't a scoring thing. So let's say I really need money. So one of them, I'm going to activate that, and I'm going to go ahead and get 2 gold from my gold mine. Now, secondly, I can choose, and this is kind of confusing, but these are the different baronal actions that you can have. And what these are like the secret amorous liaison. You try to sleep with the queen, or you sleep with the king, depending on your proclivity. You roll a die on a 2, 3, or 4. You get caught. You lose a victory point. On a 9 or higher, you succeed, and you roll 2 dice. So, like, let's say I wanted to try to seduce the queen. So I roll my 2 dice. A 5. So, luckily I didn't get her, so I didn't get a point, but I didn't get caught either. I didn't roll 2, 3, or 4. Sabotage, depending, you roll a die to see how much it costs. Then you try to destroy somebody else's location by a dice check. If you roll higher than them, it succeeds. If not, it fails and you lose a point. If you decide to attack, you basically say, I'm going to attack this person over here. When you attack somebody, it's kind of cool. If you beat them by a smaller amount, like 1, 2, or 3, you get that many resources from them. If you beat them by more than that, you actually take a point from them and you gain a point. So that's one way to keep somebody who's gaining a lot of points from, preventing them from, having a runaway. So, I mean, it means that you need to maintain a decent army so somebody doesn't just come down and beat you up. And then, the other baronal action here in the bottom is to actually engage in a limited war, which means that, like, you can go ahead and try to attack one of the king's neighbors and see what happens. And hopefully if you wage a successful war, you'll be able to get some victory points for doing so and bringing glory to the king's kingdom. But so, those are your normal actions. Then you just take those, and then the final action you have is you have to feed the people. Now, what happens with it, notice up here it says 2 to 3 for every 6 improvements you have to feed 1. For 4 through 6 for every 5 improvements. If you have a granary, you basically have the food cost. So, so it's very powerful actually. So like if you had, if you're playing with 4 to 6 people and you had 15 people, you'd have to pay 3 food to maintain them and feed them. However, because if you had the granary, you would have that, and it would go down to 2. You have to round up, obviously. But so that's it. And then after that, you just pass this, which is the first player marker. You pass it to the person on your left, and the process starts over. They're the first player. They go through the actions and so on and so forth. And as you, like I said, the game will progress. You'll slowly, better your locations. Like you get a knight and. You got that miller over here, and and you got that granary, and so and so on and so forth, and you start building out your location. Hopefully, you're getting lucky, and your things are activating. You're getting victory points, and play continues until somebody actually reaches the top victory point total. That's the last turn of the game, and whoever is at the highest level of victory points when the end of the game comes is the winner of Feudality. So. It's really colorful. It's really funny. Like I said, the little things like here's like your little cleric. There's a cleric. I just like the little tiny figures. I really probably can't see it all, but it's just this little dude healing. It's just kind of cute. The game's just kind of fun, and that's how you play the game. So let me tell you what I think about this really neat, really fun game. Tom Wham Feudality. Okay, now you know how to play. So, like I said, it wasn't too difficult. What do I like about Feudality? Well, for starters, it isn't a game that I take very seriously. And the rules in the game don't really take the game very seriously either. There's rife with funny little jokes and quips throughout the rule book, and it kind of pokes fun at itself in a lot of ways. And so you can kind of tell this game was created just for the sheer glee of playing it, not like to challenge anybody's mind anyway. I really dig that. I like the whole process of planning out your city. I like, or not city, your little plot of land. I like the little pictures. I like the little jokes that on the pictures themselves. I like all the little just the neat little things about the game. I like putting that stuff down on that board and kind of like watching your little make believe, almost like claymation world get created as you play, and so. There's a ton to like. What I like, that's just like the general feel, but what I like about the mechanics, well, it's just kind of fun, rolling the dice and like seeing, okay, bam, oh yay, my merchant got picked and I get gold, things like that. I love that, the roll of the dice when the person's rolling the die, and I like the drawing of the card with the crazy chaotic action that happens. I really enjoy trying to figure out which of those things to purchase. There's a lot about the game that I really, really enjoy. As a matter of fact, I played this game a ton with my friends because we just seriously totally dug the game. It was like, let's play Feudality, and then when people weren't there, they were saying, you know what, this game would be great for this guy because that guy would love this game. And then that guy plays it. You're right, I love this game. And so we played it and played it and played it. Now, what don't I like about Feudality? Well, if you listen to my podcast, I had a trouble with this review just for the basic reason, one, it's kind of tough to, say something bad about somebody that I played Kings and things, like I said, a ton, but I played the game out. And the thing is that I'm not going to go into it in too much depth, but after I got 25 plays out of it, which, trust me, is a ton of plays for a game that lasts an hour and a half. But after I got that many plays out of the game, everybody had kind of figured out the strategy of the game. They knew exactly what they had to do to win. And then it really came down to rolling dice. And so I know that's going to come across as being kind of negative, but there's a saving grace to the game, and that is the fact that you really should only play with about 3 people. So if you're a person that plays a lot of 2-player games and a lot of 3-player games, it actually is a little bit fair because of the fact that once you play with like 6 people, which this supports, which I've played with 6 people probably too many times, the person who goes first has like a huge advantage because this isn't like a game where it's like, okay, and the person who goes first, it's just the luck of the die. It's just like you roll the dice and that person goes first, and they're automatically now better off for the rest of the game. There's no mechanism in which to say, okay, now who's in last place, they go first, or anything like that. It just goes to the next person on the left, and then it goes to the next person on the left, and so on and so forth. Now, I suppose you could say, okay, who's in last place, and then if there's a tie, figure out a way, but there just isn't that in place. And I think that's a failure, because the thing is that if you play with 6 people, okay, the game's going to go 6 turns, at least, probably. But, it's going to go 6 turns, but it's probably only going to go about 9. And that means that those 4, 5, and 6 players, they never get to go first again. And so they're kind of behind the 8 ball, and there's no real, way to even it out for them. So if you play with 2 people, which I played it with my wife, it's really, really fun, actually. I really, really enjoy that because then it's, it's a back and forth, and, you're kind of, everybody has kind of an equal chance, if you will. 3, same deal, equal chance. And then 4, you start slipping. The other thing I really don't like about the game is that it starts out, the game kind of goes the same way. It starts out really slow at the beginning, and everybody's just like, okay, but obviously it's an avalanche. And it's just like, because you only have that one tile, you have that forest you start off with. And then you get another tile, and then you get another, and you get another, and you get another. And pretty soon your mind figures out, that, okay, I have to place this, in this pattern, and that'll guarantee that no matter what happens when the person rolls the dice, I'm going to, land on something. I'm not going to have a situation where I'm not landing on something and I'm getting nothing for the die roll. So, so as soon as that happens, and if you've got, tiles that score you points, it becomes a situation where, you might only have, like 3 or 4 turns left, or maybe even 2 left, but you have a pretty good idea who's going to win. Because everybody's got their tiles set up in the exact same position that are going to score them those points. And so if there's a person at 10 points, a person at 9 points, a person at 8 points, they're all going to score those points, boom, 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 in a row the same way, and the person who's in the lead is going to stay in the lead. Now, that isn't exactly what happens every single time. You can do a few things to mess with other people. I have found that you can, if everybody else isn't focusing on their military, and you yourself focus on military, you can attack them and just bash the hell out of them. And as long as they're ahead of you in points, you can take points away from them. So that's one way you can combat that strategy. And when I played it, that's how I kept it fresh. I kind of just went to a heavy military strategy. But then other people realize that, and so they kind of try to catch up, and they try to take the same military as you. And so you can extend the length of the life of the game, but like I said, I played it over 24 times, so I definitely got my value out of the game. I'm just kind of sad because it's like now when I think about it, I'm just kind of like, I've kind of seen all that game has to offer me, and it's really rare that I get to that point with the game. I get to that point with the games that I don't like, but it's really odd for me to get to that point with a game that I really, really enjoyed playing. And I think, in all honesty, I honestly think if you like dice, if you like chaos, if you like random events, if you like being able to actually directly affect other people by marching your troops into their lands and attacking them and things like that, I definitely think that this is a game that you'll enjoy. But I have to warn you that I think, just like with anything else you own, and it really, this isn't so much a bad thing. How many games out there do you just play 100 times a year and you never get tired of it? It's like you maybe have 1 or 2 games in your collection, you can even never think of that many. But it's just you get to that point where and it's just it's kind of sad because I still play Kings and Things on a fairly regular basis, just because I still like that game. And so maybe I was just kind of hoping that this game would be the same way, and it just wasn't. and I know this is weird because it seems like I'm giving a negative review, but I'm not, because, like I said, I enjoyed the hell out of Feudality, and I'm so glad I purchased it because I had a blast playing the game. I mean, you know, you tell your stories as you play the game. You're acting out everything. You know, you're cursing your neighbor, you're cursing your friends, you're wishing for luck, you're rolling those dice. You know, all that stuff, all the stuff that makes playing the game super enjoyable. I've gotten to the point now where, I've gone past it. So there you go. Take that for what you will. If you have any questions, concerns, ideas, whatever you want to say, please leave them below. I will answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch me do this reviewing thing. And because if it wasn't for you guys out there, I wouldn't do what I do here. So until next time, this is Undead Viking, and you take care of yourself. See you later.